Britain's Prince Harry is feeling the chill, literally, as he gets ready for a grueling charity challenge. The 29-year-old royal spent 24 hours inside a giant freezer. He was bombarded with blizzards, high winds, and bone-chilling temperatures in the test chamber. As part of the prince's training, as he prepares to trek across the South Pole in aid of veterans charity Walking with the Wounded. Our royal correspondent Max Foster is joining us now from London. Max, so tell us a little bit more about how grueling that training was.
Yeah, well, he's already been to the North Pole with this group of injured servicemen and women, and this time they're heading to the South Pole, and there'll be three teams, a Commonwealth team, an American team, and a British team, and he's part of the British team. And he went into what effectively is a fridge, and temperatures dropped to as low as 55 degrees Celsius. He was there for several hours. And it was really acclimatization, getting used to it, lots of training within that chamber as well, cycling and getting in the tent and just really sort of getting used to the atmosphere. And he seemed to be all right. So good news, really. So it does look as though he will have the strength to go to the South Pole with that team. Afterwards, he came out and said the worst bit actually was going in. So, well, he's a military man. He should be able to cope.
And so, actually, what they're going to do is going to be in November. They're going to go to the South Pole. Tell us a little bit more about what they're going to be doing there.
Well, it's really just a trek, but what they've done is created a competition because they've got these three teams involved. And it's about raising awareness as much as anything for injured servicemen and women. It's one of the causes he's really made a lifetime commitment to. He's in the military, of course, himself, but he really wants to support veterans when they leave. And one of his big concerns is really, once they've left the military, how they are assimilated into society. So showing that there's it's not necessarily just a negative experience being wounded on the front lines. You can actually live life to the full after you leave the military with these injuries, and this is really an expression of that. So he's with this team, and it's going to be pretty competitive, I think, and it's a heavily sponsored event, very expensive trek to take place. So you'll see lots of publicity around it because it's all about making it affordable. But I think it's going to be a pretty interesting expedition in the end. He always makes these things fun, doesn't he, Relitza?
Absolutely. And I was reading that the vets who are going to be competing with him have very serious injuries themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people without limbs. There are people who are blind. I spoke to one of them, an American guy who's blind, and he said that he thinks after doing all the training, he thinks he's probably going to find it harder than the people without limbs because he's got this issue that he's partially sighted, but all he can see is white the whole time. And he's just walking through white snow, trying to cope with that. But it's the boredom. He said the psychology of just walking endlessly without being able to see what you're doing is a real challenge. So we've all got very different injuries. And Harry obviously isn't injured at all, so he's got the advantage. But he said he will be supporting the others in whatever way he can, so he'll be helping them along the way.
Well, we'll be watching. Thank you very much. Max Foster in London.